Hi there. Welcome. Thanks for, again, tuning in to Query and Schultz. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz. It is the incredibly creatively and appropriately named Query and Schultz program here on the ISC Sports Network. We appreciate all of you who have followed us throughout the years, listened to us on a number of different platforms, and most importantly, hopefully, paid tribute to those who have made it possible for us to do this program, which includes, Derek, of course, Bailey & Wood, the presenting sponsor.
Indeed.
Of Query and Schultz. Lou Malnati's, because we're inside the Lou Malnati's studio, and we will have our Look Who's Cooking coming up. We always have Hoagies and Hops on board.
Chili Water Brewing.
Heating and Air Conditioning. Chili Water Brewing. Chateau Kitchens.
Your grandpa's Old Fashioned.
Grandpa's Old Fashioned, who makes the incredible Old Fashions, which we will do coming up. But we appreciate those who have been on board with us, and the American Dairy Association of Indiana as well. Derek, lots to talk about because we're coming off of the Masters, and we're in that time of year where the weather is glorious. And I used to love, like when I first was working in television and in the local media, this time of year was so great for me because I would always love going down and catching the end of Pacers practice, getting ready for the playoffs, and then going out and had the whole day. It was glorious outside. No Pacers playoffs, but it does feel like the sun is rising with the Pacers as opposed to the sun setting.
I think unlike, let's say, remember in 2015 where they missed the playoffs by one game?
Yeah.
And you were really depressed about it. Or like the last couple of seasons, they win 25 games.
Or like they had the play-in game one time.
Yeah, like that 2 years ago, that barely even registered at all. I think I can't sit here and say that 35 and 47 is some great memorable season, but you can live with that. You can, I think, accept this season for the Pacers as being a success in the prism that they were 23.5, I think was the over-under. I know Kevin talked about it a lot on your show. They hit 23 wins in January.
Yeah.
I mean, they had 23 wins right after started 23-18. Things went like this basically right after that until February where they were able to climb back up. But I think all in all, 35 wins, so you more than went 10 wins over what your projected win total was. Miles Turner's career year and extension. Nobody thought Miles Turner would even be a Pacer on April, what's today, April 10th of 2023. When you talk about August 10th of 2022, Benedict Mathurin and what he showed as a rookie, Andrew Nembhard and what he showed, and then you bring in some of these other pieces, these cast-offs really from other teams like Jordan Ware and Aaron Nesmith and what they were able to do this year. I think you have to be pretty pleased overall with this Pacers season.
If you were to look at, let's say, 7 pieces, let's say there was an expansion draft in the NBA and you had to protect 7 players that are your nucleus and then the rest you have to let fade out. Who are the 7 pieces that if you are the general manager of the Indiana Pacers that you look at and say, these guys are must-have guys?
Let me look because I don't want to miss anybody here. Obviously, it starts with Halliburton and Turner. Okay. I mean, those are the 2 guys that I think moving forward. People forget what Miles Turner's like 26.
Right.
You know what I mean? He feels old, but he's still in his prime years. So Turner, Halliburton, Mathurin, Nembhard. I'm up to 4, right?
Yep.
Then it gets interesting. I still think that there are a couple of more tiers for Isaiah Jackson to reach, even though
I don't disagree.
It was a little bit of a up and down season for Isaiah
His
Jackson.
highs are really high,
yeah.
but his lows are
he's so
pretty
young.
invisible.
He's just so young. And then you're kind of sifting through the rest. Look, I really like the Buddy Hield is like found money. That was a contract throw in more than anything else. Like that was not supposed to be a guy that would be a key part of your team. And look, I know that the Pacers, a key part of what a team that finished with 25 wins last year and a key part of a team that finished with 35 wins this year. Still, that's been pretty good. But Buddy Hield is going to turn 31 in December. He's entering the final year of his contract. Like Buddy Hield to me doesn't scream long-term piece. So I would be less inclined to be like, well, you have to keep Buddy Hield.
Well, okay, so
I think he's a key player for what he is.
I'll take him off the board. I'm talking about the pieces that are the young players you build around.
I think at this point, I wouldn't, when they were acquired, I wouldn't have said this, but Ware and Nesmith are probably two guys you want to take more of a look at.
Nesmith, I think, for certain, has played his way into Aaron Nesmith, to me, Derek, if Aaron Nesmith is your sixth man, you're winning 50 games.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, because he can defend, he can score when he needs to. I really like Aaron Nesmith. I think he was a great find. Ware, to me, is interesting because he put up good numbers down the stretch, but I've always my proverbial question, is that because he's a good numbers guy or because they were shelving other players and somebody had to get points?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. How much?
But he does look like a guy that can be. If you envision the Pacers in 3 years from now as a competing team, then the guys we talked about are all part of that. And Ware is somebody that I could see being like a guy that comes in and gets you 12 to 15 minutes as an off the bench scorer for you. A George Niang for Philadelphia type player.
Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith, I think, disappointed a little this year.
I think we had some inflated expectations for Jalen Smith.
But he was a good – I mean –
You talk about stuff in the
Jalen
stat
Smith
sheet.
is a good insurance policy if Isaiah Jackson doesn't pay out.
Jalen Smith, the last 15 games last year, was just putting up big numbers because the Pacers were in full whatever mode. I mean, they were losing every game to end the year. So that's part of, I think, why we inflated our expectations of Jalen Smith. But I think he's in that mix. The most interesting offseason question to me, besides the draft pick and the piece they're going to bring in is – what are you going to do at point guard? Because there's just a logjam there right now. Nembhard, I guess you can start, but I still think ideally Nembhard is your kind of six-man. He's going to lead the second unit guy. So what do you do with TJ McConnell, who's been a really productive player, but are you going to pay $9 million to your third point guard? And is there a place for Chris Duarte on this team right now?
Duarte's an odd man out, man.
Because Nembhard's kind of replaced him, right?
And I don't know.
Nembhard's become their best defender and a good three-point shooter.
Derek,
and
the
all
problem
of
is I don't know what you get for Duarte.
Well, yeah.
He just needs a fresh start. I mean, he absolutely been a nice player, been a good guy, and a versatile player. But if Chris Duarte's one of your top three scorers, you're not very good.
I feel for Duarte because the Pacers drafted him thinking they were something that they ended up not being like 6 weeks into that season. Because remember, when they drafted Duarte, they were thinking, okay, well, we still have Sabonis and LeVert and all of this. We're ready to win right now, so we're ready to bring in a 25-year-old and have him hit the ground running and contribute right away. But then remember, starting in January, they were tearing it down.
Right.
So if Duarte would not have been their draft pick had their vision been what it was 3 months after they started the season with him, his rookie season. So I feel for him a little bit because I think their standpoint changed.
This shows either how old I am or how quickly things move. Who did they get for LeVert?
Well, they got that conditional
the pick that they're about to
convey.
Use. Correct.
Yeah, that originally didn't convey because Cleveland didn't make the playoff field last year. Did they get an additional second? They just got picks, right, for LeVert? I don't think they got a player for LeVert.
Is that right?
Let me look it up. But I think the Karis LeVert trade was just picks.
I thought LeVert was part of a three-way deal.
He was.
When they sent him out.
Yeah.
And they got somebody else's back.
I don't think they got any players back. I think they just got picks. Let me look to be sure. Was the Houston pick one of them that they get?
That might be right. They have the Pacers got the Cleveland pick, which was last year, Cleveland fell their way out of the playoffs, and so it was lottery protected, so Cleveland held on to that.
No,
now they get Cleveland's
It was a straight up deal. So LeVert came to Indiana in a three-way deal. He left Indiana in a straight up deal with Cleveland. So he was traded with a second-round pick last year to Cleveland for Ricky Rubio came, and then they bought him out. And a lottery-protected pick last year that didn't convey, and then 2 second-round picks.
Okay.
So that's what it was.
Okay, and Rubio, they obviously just let the contract expire. Yeah. But nonetheless, Derek, I think that for the Pacers, there's optimism, right? I mean, it feels like people are excited now. And even this year, where they didn't win a lot of games, they still had
the crowds are great. Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit warped. When you're sitting courtside every night, the crowd always looks great. Like you have. Your feet are on the floor. When you're up in the nosebleeds, it's a little bit of a different
Do you know how
atmosphere.
close you have to be for your feet to be on the floor?
Okay, that's kind of like right now.
His feet aren't on the floor.
You guys can't see.
They're
so
swinging this far.
You have
from
no
the floor.
idea. I look like I'm 6'8" in these chairs, so you guys have no idea. What's hurtful is that the Pacers lost every game to the Knicks this year except for yesterday's one.
Right.
And it obviously would have benefited. It cost them almost 9% for their chance to get in the top 4. I mean, that's pretty significant. That's almost, 1 out of 10.
Right.
Which you take out of it. But Pacers tied with the Wizards for the 7th worst record. And thanks to our friend Tony East, who is all-knowing when it comes to this stuff, Pacers have not 1, not 2, 3 coin flips that impact them. Coin flip with Washington for the 7th or 8th pick. That's only if either of them don't get in the lottery.
Right.
25th or 26th pick comes down to Cleveland and Memphis. They want, I believe, Cleveland to win that because then Cleveland would pick 26. Memphis would,
right.
Yeah. And that Cleveland pick would convey to them. And then the 32nd or pick from Houston, or it'll be between 48 and 50. So they'll lose 20 spots if Houston wins a coin flip with San Antonio, which is no bueno. You don't want that to happen.
Right.
So that's where the Pacers are as far as so that you're talking about 3 first-round picks and potentially the 2nd pick of the 2nd round. So 4 picks in the top 32.
Yeah. Well, and then the question becomes, where do you make the roster room?
Yeah, because you have all these picks.
O'Shea Brissett's a free agent. I like O'Shea Brissett a lot.
I think we've seen the last of O'Shea Brissett. I'm fairly confident. I mean, I think there are some places on this roster where you say, okay, yeah, you kind of know they're going. But again, you've got to free up that logjam at point guard. You can't come back next year with Nembhard, Tyrese, who are both going to be on the roster, and McConnell and Duarte. It doesn't make sense.
By the way, time for our Lou Malnati's Look Who's Cooking. Sorry. Lou Malnati's now has how many locations in Central Indiana, Derek? I'll do it because it's
I got it.
Bigger. I know, but
my hand's huge.
No. I mean, come on. 5 locations, including the newest one on Rockville Road, right?
Yep. Highway 36.
Isn't that Rockville Road?
Yeah, no one calls it Highway 36. Have you ever heard Rockville Road referred to as 36? No. Maybe in Danville they might call it 36, but no one calls it anything
Jerome
but
Bettis
Rockville
calls
Road.
it Highway 36.
That's right, yeah. So 5 Indy area locations. Broad Ripple, which is the only dine-in of the 5.
It's great.
Everything else,
Ferguson,
carry out and pick up and delivery. Carmel, West 86, as Jake mentioned, Avon, and Greenwood. Don't forget about our code. Right up here. I tried to do the cool one, and I went the wrong way. Right up here. QNS, Friedel, QNS, Friedel 23. Remember Deuce, God rest his soul? He used to always do N for Query and Schultz. He would never do like the ampersand or whatever. I miss Deuce.
God love Deuce.
Yeah, Deuce was a great guy. The guy that I just mentioned, Andrew Nembhard, is my Who's Cooking because he closed the season really strong.
He did.
Just had a great rookie year. I mean, here's a guy that when the Pacers drafted him, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember him. He was like the 5th best player on Gonzaga. And
I don't believe
I
that's
read
Andrew
all
Nembhard,
the
is it?
scouting reports.
Is that Andrew Nembhard?
And
that's Jordan Ware, isn't it?
But anyway, I mean, it's a Pacers photo.
Okay.
I read all the scouting reports on.
A teammate of that guy is our Look Who's Cooking for Lou Malnati's.
I read all the scouting reports on Nembhard, and it all said, well, he's your, backup of the future and, low ceiling player and all of that. And I was like, oh, God, like, great. Here's Pritchard again, low ceiling, whatever player. He was a standout at a great program. So here we go again. And then it took like 3 weeks into the season where you thought to yourself, oh, my God, like, this guy's going to be really good.
Derek,
he already is really good.
I remember at the beginning of the year they had like a little media kind of open house. And Kevin Pritchard's like, no, this Nembhard can play. Like,
they gave him the richest second-round pick contract in history, so they must have known something that all of us didn't know.
Right. And so then he starts playing, and you're like, wait a minute, this guy seems to have a very mature understanding of what's expected of him. Then they go to L.A. Everybody's out. He drops 30-plus and the game winner.
Yeah.
And you're like, and he's just – he was unflappable.
And then
all
Golden
year.
State.
Yeah.
And then he cooked Steph Curry. He played with somebody who outshined him every step of the way. He played at Montverde, which is that big academy which produces like the number 1 pick every year. So he was behind R.J. Barrett And then he went to Florida and was like their fifth guy. And then he goes to Gonzaga with Chet Holmgren and Drew Timme and Jalen Suggs and all those guys. And I think this was really the first chance for him to kind of show out and show what he could do. But man, he's been great. Last month of the season, Andrew Nembhard, 15.3 points, 6.6 assists per game.
Pretty solid.
And again, I mean, he's basically made Chris Duarte sort of a thing of the past, I think.
Unfortunately. But he's younger,
And he's younger, yes, as is most of the Pacers roster. But
so that is
Andrew
our
Nembhard.
Lou Malnati's Look Who's Cooking. Andrew Nembhard of the Indiana Pacers. Again, Lou Malnati's with 5 Central Indiana locations, including their dining location, which is especially this time of year. Outside, they got stuff for the kids to do. It's right on the canal in Broad Ripple on Ferguson. Fabulous pizza, and not just Chicago style, but traditional style, thin crust as well. Salads, great menu, draft beers, all of it.
Ordered at LouMalnati's.com. Also, one last thing to ask you about NBA, because this was a topic last week. I'm not sure if you talked about it on the radio show or not. I don't have a problem at all with like the mini tanking. I call it mini tanking because you're not punting a season. But these teams in the NBA that in the final 10 days of the season have nothing to play for, like the Mavs pulling Luka, why would I care about that?
Right.
It's the best thing for them.
If you bought a ticket and you want to go see those guys play.
I mean, whatever.
I'm with you. I'm with you, but I'm just saying.
As a fan, one of the biggest things that bothers me about the gatekeeping when it comes to fandom is that you have to root for your team no matter what. And you can't say anything negative about your favorite team or else you're not a true fan. Oh, come on. Get lost.
Now, Derek,
kick rocks.
Listen.
Give me a break.
You can say that.
No.
But when
you be a fan. Being a fan means rooting for the best thing. You don't know because you don't have a kid yet, but part of me, I'm pretty sure my dad felt this way about me. I think at some point my dad was happy when I got arrested, not because he didn't want the best thing for me, but I needed to be knocked down a peg.
Right.
Sometimes the best thing, rooting for the best thing for somebody that you love or a team that you love can be something that's bad, like losing or getting blown out.
This, by the way, this message is brought to you by Derek Schultz, who I once saw turn purple when I simply presented the scenario of going to a early May, early June, totally seemingly meaningless baseball game of your favorite team, sitting in the stands and realizing midway through the 8th inning that your favorite team was being no-hit, and actually rooting in that moment to see history for you because fewer than 320 pitchers have ever thrown a no-hitter in Major League Baseball, and you have a chance to see something that has only been done 319 times. And Derek said, absolutely not. I would never root against my team.
I don't think that's a direct quote.
Suddenly, and let me show you something here. This is, see this? You know what this is?
What are you doing?
Well, that's a chair, but imagine that's actually a table. And it appears as though the tables have turned for young Mr. Schultz.
I am allowed, kind of like how I've gotten better looking since we first started. If you look please don't look at any photos of us from 2011, either of us. Well, actually, you were your fattest at what, 2012 probably?
Right around then,
yeah. Okay, so don't look at any photos. I had like the chin goatee still thing going. I was lifting a lot though. Like I was benching like crazy amounts then. But overall, I mean, Jake looks really bad. I look medium bad. Don't go back and look up any photos from there. You are allowed to evolve and change your sports viewpoints as you get older.
So are you saying that the older, more veteran, more mature member of this program back in its infancy actually gave you a little word of wisdom there that you eventually grew into?
Why are you turning everything into like this gotcha moment? I'm just making a statement
because
here
that's
that
exactly
I believe.
what it is.
It's not a gotcha. This has nothing to do with.
So are you admitting now?
You or
I would like for the record to state: are you, Derek Schultz, now admitting that if you went to a New York Yankees game on May 18th and they were playing the Minnesota Twins, and you're watching the game, and midway through the 7th, you realize the pitcher for the Twins is throwing a no-hitter, that you would be like, you know what, this would be cool to see?
Look, if it's like 8-0, sure. If it's 1-0, no.
I can understand that
8-0, sure. Okay, you got me. All right. Oh, you got me. Okay, fine. That is one thing that I've changed.
There are several things on this program that will taste sweet today.
But
our Winners Drink Milk American Dairy Association of Indiana Milk will be one. Our fabulous Old Fashions will be one. And, of course, our chili water beer.
I need a beer after this discussion.
Our
The
Hoagies and
point
Hops
remains,
food will taste great, but nothing tastes sweeter than
I think
10 years of victory.
Being a fan means rooting for the best thing to happen for your team. And the best thing to happen for the Pacers yesterday was not to beat the Knicks. It was to lose.
No, you're right.
So that doesn't make me a bad fan to say I wanted to see the Pacers lose that game. So that is my – like the Colts this year, Jake, it would have been – if the Colts finished 7-9-1 this year, it would have been a disaster.
You're
it would have been awful.
You're right.
You much prefer to go 4-12-1 and just be terrible, even with the stink of the Vikings collapse and all of it.
I am so relieved that we are however far into this and we haven't discussed the Colts draft yet.
I know. We are going to get to it eventually. But it's funny that you brought up no-hitters. There was a player from UIndy that did something incredible over the weekend, and it got me to thinking, if you could do one thing, one historic sports thing in one game, what would it be?
Okay.
And we're going to talk about that when we come back. Also, we got some hoagies to eat. As Jake mentioned, all these great drinks to drink.
Did you remember the chips this time?
I did remember the chips.
Yeah, we got a little story to tell about that as well.
Got 'em right here. Ware and Schultz, episode 131. Don't go anywhere.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do. From Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Introducing an old-fashioned that's ready to go when you are. An old-fashioned that you can make anywhere, anytime. Add 3 ounces of your favorite spirit plus one of our sugar cubes to make a consistent bar-quality old-fashioned without a mixologist. We use the finest bitters, organic crystallized brown sugar, and orange in our cubes. That's it, because that's everything the perfect old-fashioned needs. Online at yourgrandpasoldfashioned.com or on social media at YG Old Fashioned.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey and Wood Financial Group presents Ware and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network, episode 131. So,
Is that what it is?
Reggie Miller plus 100.
No, it's just
Can you imagine that we've done 131 of these?
yeah.
Do you remember me in 2020 like calling you every day about what we were going to do? Like you weren't concerned about it at all. Like I don't even think you wanted to do this. I think you only did it as you felt bad for me.
How many? Okay, when we got laid off, for my heart, kidding aside, how many times would you say you called me in the first week?
Oh God, 40. 40 times.
And
like,
what was my overall demeanor?
I mean, I think actually part of me was like, does he like this fact? Because all the praise was rolling in. Like we were getting all these tweets and messages and Indy Star articles about how great we were. And I thought you kind of liked it. You said it was like attending your own funeral. I remember.
Yeah.
But like my mindset at that time, I kid you not. And obviously in hindsight, this was a severe overreaction. I really thought my career was over. Like, I thought, okay, I'm going to have to go work at Amazon or whatever for the rest of my life.
Well, I think it's very
No one's ever gonna hire
understandable.
me.
If you thought that you were separated from me, I could see how you'd feel.
That's not what it was. But I really did. I was in crisis mode. I think you know that I was that way. But when this kind of came around, I remember meeting with Greg Rakestraw, who's behind the glass right now, at the old Mo and Johnny's.
Yep.
I still kind of call it Mo and Johnny. I know it's the Bulldog or whatever now. And this whole thing came together in a couple of weeks because we had something else in the cooker, which, again, in hindsight, you know, Jake very rarely has steered me in the right direction or steered this show in the right direction. I'm not going to mention what it was, but Jake helped us avoid, I think, what would have been a disaster partnership, just not one that was good for us. Because I was much more desperate than Jake was. Jake was much more patient, and your patience actually paid off because this partnership has worked out really well.
You know what? And I'm very grateful for, like we mentioned, the sponsors that make it.
Yeah.
And for people that still listen to us, because, Derek, it's to your credit, admittedly, and I really enjoy the radio show that I do, but oftentimes people reference this show as well. And usually they call you my little buddy. Where's your little buddy? I get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Which makes me the skipper, which I don't know that I like being Alan Hale, but that's cool. You know what I mean?
Well, if you want to do that, maybe I'll take away your little paycheck every single week that I hand you on my blood, sweat, and tears of building this show. I'd mentioned we've got hoagies to eat and everything like that.
We do.
I'd mentioned going into the break the great sports accomplishments, and a lot of these are baseball related because the NFL's never really been about the numbers.
Right.
Like, I know Peyton Manning has a 7-touchdown game. That was like the closest that I could think of. You know, what else would be 200 yards? I mean, there have been a lot of running backs that have gone for 200 yards. I couldn't really think of an individual one there. But baseball, you've got the cycle, a perfect game, immaculate inning as a pitcher, 9 pitches, strike out all 3 guys. I mean, there are a lot of things that you can do there. What would be, I mean, a 50-point game maybe in the NBA, 60-point? A couple guys have scored 70.
Probably 70.
Shooting a 59 in golf.
I looked this up, Derek. There have been, in the history of Major League Baseball, there have been 319 no-hitters. There have been 339 cycles.
Wow, that's almost like the exact same odds.
Which is weird because you would think the cycle would be higher because a guy, you get a chance to do it if you're a position player every game.
Yeah.
A pitcher's only going out 30 times a year.
Sure, I didn't think about that. Yeah,
but,
that's crazy.
Hitting for the cycle is pretty special, I would think. I would think a natural cycle, you know what a natural cycle is?
Just in order.
In order, yeah.
Single, double, triple, homer.
Correct.
How many of those have been done?
I don't know, but that would be.
Well, this kid at UIndy had a.
It's unbelievable.
He had a triple and a homer in the first 2 innings, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So he got the hard ones out of the way. He had the single was the capper. Usually the triple or something like that is the capper, but he's our hero of the week. Thanks to our friends at Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and Boulevard, hoagiesandhops.com.
His name again is
Brady Ware, California native. He's a grad student. He played elsewhere for the last couple of years and came over. Those uniforms are sweet.
St. Catherine's, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Where he was?
You like the script hounds? That's awesome.
Those are cool, for sure.
I always thought they should just do the I instead of.
Does he have a cell phone here? What's going on there?
Yeah, that's all that is. Yeah, just
in case he needs to.
Samsung Stratosphere that's just hooked on his belt right there. JD might get mad at me, who loves UIndy and loves Grady, and maybe he thinks this is Grady Greyhound erasure, but I would just take the I. I like the block I that's kind of slanted for UIndy and not have. Yeah, see, he's giving me the thumbs down. Not have Grady jump through it. That's what I would keep as the logo, and maybe outline it in red. But that's just me. Graphic design is my passion, so that's just me right there.
I've nenever known this. When did you begin?
There are a lot of things that you don't know about me. A lot of passions.
Have you done a lot of graphic design stuff?
14-0 was the final score of that game, by the way, that Brady Ware threw the no-no in and hit for the cycle. 3.15 this season, 2.76 ERA. I mean, he's basically the Ohtani of Division II baseball.
Derek, I don't understand.
I mean, it's incredible.
I don't understand how this was not like I'm not kidding you. I don't understand how he was not on Good Morning America this morning, the Today Show.
I mean, they mentioned on Sports Center, like it got some places.
I mean, in the old days, you would think he'd be on Letterman.
Yeah.
Leno. I mean,
I hear you.
It's unbelievable.
All the local TV stations did talk about it, and I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised with how much traction it got. This is a good time of year for it to happen too, because the Colts are kind of
again. I don't want to sit here and beat the dead horse, but to me, it is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it's wild. You guys should get him. Are you getting him on the show?
I said something about it, and I haven't heard back.
Does Mark usually do that?
Yeah, I told Mark, we got to get this guy on.
Well, I like Mark.
By the way,
but
I went to Hoagies and Hops last Tuesday. Derek and I did the show, and the Coney Dog was so good that I went back from here to get another one. And guess what they told me? Guess the first thing she asked me, Derek?
How are the chips?
How are the chips? I said, Chip, what are you talking about? The TV show? Punch? Eric Estrada? Those chips? No. The chips I sent with Derek for your lunch today.
Sorry. My bad. What I have here is, speaking of chips, the Pit Twist. This is the Greg Rakestraw favorite. And it was just featured in Indy Monthly. So you got the Hearst chips on top. Ham, provolone, slaw. Delicious. Just like when you're a kid, right? You make the sandwich at home. Sometimes ham sandwich, little mayo, whatever. Throw some potato chips on there. Crunchy, good, salty, delicious. This is
No
Christina's
mayo.
take on that. Well, no mayo for you. Oh, yeah. Good.
Derek, somebody said that you pop your lips too much into the microphone. And
I don't pop my lips at all.
No, I tend to agree.
I don't pop my lips at all. Also, right next door, because Jake refuses to talk whenever I take a bite because he likes to see me suffer like this. Right next door to Hoagies and Hops in Midtown, it's a Chili Water Tap Room, 42nd and Boulevard, and they've been providing us beers every single week to go with our Hoagie of the Week, the Pit Twist, our beer of the week. Mama Tried, this is their dark Mexican lager. And this is another one that I have not tried. So we're going to try Mama Tried. So far, we're like 5 for 5 with these beers.
really?
All of these have been good.
Looks like kind of an amber.
Yeah. Yeah. This is...
That is really good. I love Mexican lagers.
Me too, but this is... It's more flavorful, I feel like.
It is.
As a
It's
dark?
got kind of a caramely flavor.
Yeah? Wow, I like this a lot because I was thinking to myself, dark Mexican lager, like, I've never had a dark Mexican lager before. Is Dos Equis a dark Mexican lager? Or is that like Corona and all those other...
They have
those-
a dark. Like
Modelo?
Modelo
Okay,
Dark.
Yeah. I've never had Modelo Dark, but this is really good.
You
And
don't
you're
need
supporting
to now.
I mean,
That's
local
the point.
Local beer is always better than the main stuff anyway. Mama Tried, you can pick it up, 42nd and Boulevard, Chili Water, Tap
Hey,
Room.
don't mind if I have some chips, Derek.
Yeah, have some
What
chips
a
as
novel
well
concept.
with the Pit Twist. We come back on the show. Jake wanted to avoid Colts. We're going to talk Colts.
I didn't say I wanted
Quick
to
hits.
avoid it.
More features to get to, including... Actually, we want to talk about this now. My ice is melted, and let's just get all the alcohol out of the way right now. Oh, that's good. It's consistent. It's sweet. It's delicious. It is your grandpa's old fashioned.
Right here. Again, very simple. When it comes to making an old fashioned, you're having a party, you're having a cocktail party, you're entertaining guests, you're doing what you're at home, you decide you want to have one. You say, you know what, I'd like an old fashioned. Then you get out the recipe and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to weigh out these bitters and there's brown sugar and all this stuff. Oh, it's too confusing for me. How much? A pinch here, a pinch there? No. That's the beauty of right here. Your grandpa's old fashioned. That's because grandpa decided, you know what, I am absolutely sick and tired of telling everybody how to do this and just everybody sitting there saying, well, grandpa will make the old fashioned for us. No, so you know what grandpa did? Grandpa just went ahead and made pre-made cubes with the perfect mix of everything you need to simply drop in your glass. Of course, it's up to you to go ahead and put the liquid form in there. But you mix that together and voila, an instant old-fashioned. That's what you get from your grandpa's old-fashioned. Instant cocktail cube.
We have a promo code.
Brilliant's what it is.
Get $5 off your order. Promo code Query and Schultz, QUERYSCHULTZ.
It really is smooth.
promo
Like
code.
it takes away the bite, right?
I agree, yeah. Gets a little pep in my step on
the
a
bourbon.
Monday. I think I might do this instead of coffee on Mondays
Okay.
because it just invigorates me. Like I'm ready to go out and tackle the world. Now, if I have too much of this, then I'm ready to fight everybody.
No, I've seen that.
But yeah, right
seen
now
the
this is
shadow
a good
boxing.
balance. This is more energy than it is anger. And if
Like
it's
you-
too much, then it gets.
So I saw it at your
Gets on
bachelor party when you were
I don't
shadow
think that
boxing in
happened.
the alley.
I have no recollection of that happening.
Exactly what happened.
I do. I had to pull the trigger at the end of that night though, because all those what was it, the Optimator at Rathskeller.
I was waiting for you at the strip club with Rolando and his wife.
I'm not going to mention. Yeah, well, our buddy who brought his wife to a bachelor party. We come back, quick hits. More features. Love that play. Colts. What am I missing? We got so much. Oh, Fever Draft in one as well.
How about that?
Talk about all of it when we come back. Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Stick around.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
This is amazing. Like it's like lunch, dinner, everything right
We
here.
just
right?
have an embarrassment of riches right now on the desk here, where we've got your grandpa's old fashioned, we've got the Mama Tried Mexican
Wonderful,
lager.
though.
We have delicious milk. We've got our winner of the week coming up here. We've got the pit
Milk,
twist.
Derek, milk.
Yeah, milk. We've got the Hers potato chips. I mean, we got a little bit of everything over here.
There was a New York Yankee, last name Hall, number 27. What was his first name?
Mel. Actually got in a lot of trouble. It's kind of a creep.
Okay. Well, if
Was
his
not
last
kind of a creep, it was a convicted creep, I believe.
if creep was spelled with a K, it'd be Mel K, which is milk, right? There's a thing that spins. There's a bunch of them on 65 when you're going north towards Chicago. They spin through the air.
Windmill.
Okay, milk. It's milk is what you say, but it's milk.
I say it correctly.
Milk.
Mel Hall.
Yeah.
Windmill.
Yeah.
Milk. I don't understand what the problem is. Let's get to our quick hits. For as much as people were wringing their hands over everybody on Butler's roster going into the transfer portal,
Boy,
they had 6 guys enter the portal. They've got 5 replacements already.
Yeah.
It took them, 10 days? 3 committed on Easter Sunday. That includes Michigan State's Pierre Brooks, St. Francis PA guard Landon Moore, and Central Arkansas guard Cameron Hunter. Isn't that where Scottie Pippen played Central Arkansas, right?
I think that's right.
That's the famous Central Arkansas alum. Brooks, the best of the group, former top 100 player from Detroit, who didn't get a lot of spin at Michigan State, was kind of a
Playing
bench
time.
player.
Playing time.
Didn't get a lot of spin there, and so now he'll have the chance for plenty of spin with Butler. But they also added Bucknell transfer Andre Screen and Brazilian forward Augusto Casilla.
Here's my only problem with the
Got
transfer
5
portal.
guys.
Having nothing to do with Butler or these guys, and I like Indiana. Indiana fans are gaga because there's a former top
The Oregon kid.
20 player, 5-star recruit that went to Oregon, 7-footer, and Indiana's in his list of, and all the people, sending him mass tweets and come to Hoosier Nation, and everybody's just like, you know what, Indiana, I mean, they had a year where they got into the tournament, they won a game, and then got blown off the floor, but and they lose everybody, but snap the fingers, we're all good, transfer portal, hang a banner. Oftentimes, Derek, and I understand it. I mean, I am somebody right now who, I attended, let me think, 4 colleges, 3 of them in the first 18 months I was a student. So I get it. I don't hold any ill will on players for doing what's best for them, either academically or more often than not athletically. I get it. But fans need to slow their roll on thinking that that's the instant ingredient to add transfer, insert title. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys you just don't really know. The good thing about the portal is that you do know from an experience standpoint that they're probably going to be at least ready for collegiate basketball.
Yeah, that's fair.
So there's a little less unknown than what you get with a high school recruit. But I still think, look, there are negatives with anything. I think the positives still outweigh the negatives. And all these coaches complaining, well, this guy's recruiting my guy. You think all these coaches aren't doing the same exact thing? Give me a break.
Right.
Give me a break. everybody's recruiting everybody. You're just recruiting the lower level, probably.
I mean, it does feel like. And listen, turnabout's fair play. I mean, I know Division I athletes that after 1 year, people don't realize a Division I scholarship is a year-to-year contract on the school side. So if the school can say after a year, like, we're not renewing your scholarship, then you know what? Turnabout's fair play, right?
Oh God, look at the Tom Crean era. That was kind of one of my biggest complaints with Crean was they even had a word for it called creening.
Yeah.
Where you would trim the roster based on just pushing guys out because you'd overextend yourself for, what was it, Grant Galen and, those guys.
By the way, you remember Shannon and I went to Kansas, I don't know, a month ago?
Yeah. For a KU game.
I'm driving through western Missouri. I think about halfway between Columbia and Kansas City, and I see a sign on the side of the road. State Fair College, next exit.
Wow.
That's where Grant Gilon transferred, from Indiana to State Fair College. And I got to tell you, I don't know if I remember, Derek, we joked about it. At State Fair College, if you get fouled and you hit both free throws, you get a smaller stuffed animal. As the game goes on, you can trade it up, right?
In the 8.5 years that we did radio together, one of my favorite segments ever was when we found out live on the air that Grant Galen was going to State Fair Community College from Indiana, because I think that took over the rest of the show.
It did.
That's basically all we did. We had people call in and yeah. They were really impressed with his ability to squirt gun horses or, whatever else.
He can roll a bowling ball perfectly over that little hill. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's in Missouri. I learned that.
So good for Butler. I mean, Butler's going to be, look, they have I keep saying look, sorry. They have an uphill climb.
Thad Matta knows what he's doing.
They do. That's a very, very difficult league to be rebuilding in right now. When you've got Rick Pitino at St. John's. I know, really good. You have Rick Pitino at St. John's. You have Ed Cooley going from Providence to Georgetown. He's going to turn them around. And then you have the power structure that you have right now where Villanova and UConn are basically blue bloods. And then you've got Marquette and Xavier and these great. Creighton has become this, every year they're in the mix and they're good. So don't get me wrong. Things are going to get harder before they get easier for Butler. But ultimately, like this idea of all these players that weren't very good leaving, the program's ruined. They didn't do anything with those guys.
Right.
No offense to
That's fair.
Jaden Taylor and those guys, but they weren't good enough for that level. WNBA draft going on actually right now as we speak while we're streaming the show. Fever doing something they've never done before, and that's pick number 1 overall. Leah Boston is going to be the pick.
Correct.
3-time All-American. Last year's National Player of the Year. This year was Caitlin Clark. Great defender, great rebounder, and considered one of the best front court prospects in the last 10 to 15 years.
I mean,
in women's pro
a
basketball.
walking double-double.
Yeah.
Oftentimes triple-double. They also have the 7th pick, and then I think the 10th and 13th, right?
7th, 13th, 17th. So they have
Okay.
4 in the top 17.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about rosters being tight. WNBA is real tight.
Right.
You end up having to cut good players all the time in that league. And then this just shocked me. Ravens giving $15 million to Odell Beckham? What are they doing?
Yeah, and the immediate speculation was, well, that means for sure that Lamar Jackson's coming back. We'll see.
They FaceTimed each other, right, Jake? So that means Jackson's
Something
coming
you
back.
and I've never done.
We FaceTimed before, didn't we? When James was born?
No.
Did I FaceTime you?
No, I just knew before anybody else that he was.
I FaceTimed all my best friends. I'm pretty sure you were in there.
No, that was your 40th birthday you're thinking of.
Oh, no. That was you from the hospital bed FaceTiming me. I don't want to share what was on that call. It was very emotional. But
No, they told me I
that
wasn't sedated.
That was the FaceTime.
No, Mottman told me, he's like, no, you were not sedated.
He said, hey, I made it. I'm still here.
Okay.
And you told me that you loved me and you were proud of me.
No, the one thing I remember after my heart attack was Rake calling me and saying, obviously, I understand we're probably not doing the show on Tuesday. I said, no, I'm going to be there.
I do remember that. Yeah, that was when we were doing the show Tuesdays, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. Odell Beckham's still only 30 years old.
But
he peaked at 25,
But he's a great
right?
player. I mean, he was a key part of that Rams Super Bowl run, right?
Yeah.
He had a great Super Bowl, Derek. He probably would have been MVP until he got hurt, right?
When's really the last time that Odell Beckham Jr. was an elite player?
Fair.
2016?
I mean, health has hurt him, for sure.
Well, yeah, he's been banged up. And also the quarter, in Cleveland, I don't think he got what he was signing up for because, Baker Mayfield kind of took a nosedive right after that. But third team for OBJ since leaving the Giants after 2018. And I don't know. We'll see. I mean, maybe it's a one-year flyer. Who cares?
I saw a video, speaking of Baker Mayfield, Brooks Koepka, who, of course, was leading the Masters going into the final round, and then
collapsed.
He did kind of collapse, but he came back. I mean, he just was, that last round was kind of this for him, right? Before Jon Rahm went on to get the win. But there's a video from, it's probably like 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. Well, what year did Baker Mayfield, when was he a rookie?
Quentin Nelson's class, 2018.
Okay, so this would have been from probably 18 or 19. But Koepka was at one of the tournaments, and there was a child from the area where the tournament was dealing with pediatric cancer, and Brooks Koepka, to his credit, was wonderful to the kid and took him around and had him play basically the entire practice round with him. Well, Koepka got word that the kid was also a fan of Baker Mayfield. So Koepka, I guess, knows Mayfield and texted him and said, hey, FaceTime me. So they FaceTime with this kid. So this 12-year-old kid who has cancer is so he says to Baker Mayfield, how's it going? And Baker Mayfield's like, oh, man, it's rough, bud. I'm going through rehab right now, and it is so hard, trying to work out every day. He's singing this
Know Your Audience, yeah.
sympathy song, and I'm like, dude.
Know your audience.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just kind of and Mayfield was cool to him, but I'm like, dude, little tone deaf there, right?
Somebody's
Little tone
waiting for a blood transfusion, and you're like, oh, man.
Yeah.
It was rough. I threw 2 interceptions today.
Yeah,
It's
come on.
Who cares, man? This is life and death.
It just
stuff.
seemed kind of par for the course for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I think it's cool that apparently, with Jon Rahm, who we're just going to mention here in just a second, spoiler alert, said that he was texting Zach Ertz. So I guess a lot of the golf NFL people must know each other. Golf has become way more popular than when you and I were kids.
And keep in mind, I think NFL players are enamored with golf because, they have this, NFL players are the one that's the their off season is golf season.
Yeah.
So they play golf all the time, right?
No, that too. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Jon Rahm, it's time for our American Dairy Association of Indiana Winners Drink Milk Winner of the Week.
Do you have the milk facts?
No surprise. Yeah, I do right here. It's got as many proteins as 2 steaks, 2 filet mignons. It has as much potassium,
folks,
as 4 bananas.
The 500 Festival Mini Marathon's coming up in just a couple of weeks, which means you might be preparing for it, or you might be working out in a number of different ways, or simply getting ready for swimsuit season, which is upon us. If that's the case and you're working out, there are a few things that are better in terms of a post-workout drink like chocolate milk. That's right, chocolate milk in general, obviously. But chocolate milk, for example, has as much protein as, Derek?
2 hard-boiled eggs.
That is correct. It has as much vitamin A as
10 cups of spinach.
2 cups of spinach. Close.
Okay.
And it has as much potassium as?
I think it's 10 cups of spinach.
Is it 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're wrong.
As much potassium as?
Banana. I don't know why I'm doing karate motions. Yeah.
I mean, what is going on there? Point being, look, it's refreshing, obviously, when it comes to drinking milk after workout, and chocolate milk is an outstanding one in terms of replenishing all those electrolytes and everything else, the protein, everything necessary. Nothing quenches your thirst and a post-workout like chocolate milk or any variation of milk. And the American Dairy Association of Indiana is proud, once again, to not only have Derek and I emceeing their fastest rookie luncheon, but being a part of the greatest tradition in all of sports, the Winners Drink Milk Victory Lane Swig of Milk after the Indianapolis 500, which is coming up at the end of May. The season is upon us, Derek.
Can't wait. winnersdrinkmilk.com.
So our winner of the week, Jon Rahm, who becomes the 4th Spaniard to win the Masters. That country has now claimed 6
Can you name them
Masters titles. Yes, I can.
Sergio. Mm-hmm. Sevi.
Yep.
Oh, that's Olafable guy
Yes,
with the
that's
hair.
Correct. That's correct.
Is that it?
He has two. Ballesteros has two. Sergio Garcia.
Yeah, I mentioned Sergio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then John Rahm.
I feel bad for John Rahm because I feel like the Masters is either super memorable or kind of like, oh, yeah, he won.
It wasn't, oh, yeah.
Yeah, not oh, yeah, he won. He's the world's #1 player, right? I mean, this isn't some, like, fluke. Right. This isn't, a Daytona 500 win or something. This is, John Rahm absolutely is a memorable player, but I don't think this particular Masters was super memorable, especially when you got somebody who's just kind of lapping the field at the very – and the weather, I mean, it wasn't – I don't want my Masters to be 44 and raining.
Right.
Masters supposed to be beautiful and birds chirping and bees buzzing.
Well, the last day it was.
Sun and, I guess. I don't know.
But, yeah, Saturday
kind of an day. We'll wrap up next. Still have Love That Play to get to. My home state is kicking booty right now in college sports, just killing it. We'll talk about that and Chateau Kitchen's
People thrilled about Quinnipiac.
It's Corey and Schultz. Why'd you ruin the tease there? ISC Sports Network.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do. From Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Introducing an old-fashioned that's ready to go when you are. An old-fashioned that you can make anywhere, anytime. Add 3 ounces of your favorite spirit plus one of our sugar cubes to make a consistent bar-quality old-fashioned without a mixologist. We use the finest bitters, organic crystallized brown sugar, and orange in our cubes. That's it, because that's everything the perfect old-fashioned needs. Online at yourgrandpasoldfashioned.com or on social media at YG Old Fashioned.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hi, welcome back to Corey and Schultz. Bailey and Wood Financial Group. Presented by BAWFG.com. 855-350-HOME.
I'll just take it.
I still have potato chips.
Okay. Hi there. Welcome back to Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz.
Hello.
And as always, we are happy to say that Query and Schultz is brought to you by Bailey and Wood Financial Group. Again, right here, Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lending. Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, BAWFG.com is the website where you can find all of the information about keeping your money right here in the state of Indiana when it comes to refinancing or getting a new home loan. And keep in mind, they are very, very philanthropically involved, very committed to the community itself. No greater example of that than some of the terrible stuff that's happened in Whiteland, Indiana with tornadoes recently. Bailey and Wood always there to help out. Look forward to this summer once again being there for their incredible golf outing that raises money for different charities throughout central Indiana. The American Dairy Association of Indiana, obviously, also a sponsor for this program. Thank you, Derek. And we're inside the Lou Malnati studio.
I didn't think I'd like this, but I kind of went old-fashioned and then milk right after. Pretty good.
What are you, Laverne?
I don't know. Like, I had some of the old-fashioned, which is delicious and kind of sweet, and then the milk is creamy. And I don't know. I don't really like that word creamy. Should we ban that one from the show?
Well, you're the one that says all the words you banned.
I don't know. We can't ban creamy, I guess. It's milk, so we need to talk about it being creamy, I guess. Let's get to our Love That Play. Jake, do you happen to know where Hamden, Connecticut is located?
Hamden? Yeah, I do.
Where?
Just outside Hartford.
Well, close.
Yeah.
Well,
not
really.
far from Danbury.
It's right outside of New Haven.
Yeah, well, same thing.
That's where Quinnipiac College is located. Used to have Quinnipiac gear, but it said Q on it. And starting about 3-4 years ago, unfortunately, you stopped being able to wear anything that had Q on it anymore. They just won their first ever men's hockey championship by scoring 10 seconds into overtime to beat number 1 Minnesota, and it is our Love That Play. Brought to you by our friends at Love Heating and Cooling, love-hvac.com, 353-2141. I saw Chris Love downtown. He was on his bike. We went to the ice cream shop next to Needler's downtown, and I saw Michael Rubino, who used to be the editor-in-chief at Indy Monthly, coming out of that hardware. And then I turn around, and it's Chris and Kathy, right?
Right, yeah, that's right, Kathy.
And they're on their bikes. It was, it was a beautiful night on Saturday night. We're getting ice cream, and Indy really is. It is the biggest little town in America.
No question.
Like that you could just be somewhere in downtown in the 12th, 13th, whatever it is now, largest city, and run into two people that you know. But Chris is a great guy. I love John, too, who I ran into randomly at the airport one time as well. But they're going to take great care of you with their great customer service. There's a reason they've been open since 1920. Love Heating and Cooling. They know what they're doing. So give them a call, the Love Brothers, to take care of you, 353-2141, love-hvac.com. Game-winning goal, I want to make sure that I give this person credit because he had a great celebration.
10 seconds in. It's pretty
at the end of it.
for Quinnipiac.
Where is it?
I didn't realize Quinnipiac is blue and gold because the gear they all gave me was navy blue and white.
Maybe they changed that around. What happened to my write-up in here? Did you touch my computer? Oh, here it is. Okay. Jacob, how about this? His last name is Quillian. Q playing on Q.
JQ, right?
But I loved it. You don't see it here, but he did the boom, boom with the hockey stick at the very end. Hockey's just great, man. They play the loud horn. Everybody's going ballistic. Like, I wish that I was a hockey fan.
You see the jersey. It's got the what are they, the Wildcats?
Bobcats.
Yeah. So the Bobcats got the paw all the way out. I'm worried because tomorrow is the first trip to the vet for Boo. And I've got to get him in the crate.
Yeah, good luck. Get those the gloves that Eagles handlers wear.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
And then you can.
I talked to Paul the mailman. I said, "Now, how do you get a cat into the crate to take him to the vet?" And he goes, "The Indiana National Guard."
Yeah, that's usually how it has to go. But congrats to Quinnipiac. They had made the final in 13 and 16 and lost both times. But Minnesota's got a ton of NHL players on that roster. They were number 1 in the country.
Program.
And for little Quinnipiac to knock them off. First time since 1977, the same state has held the men's basketball and hockey titles at the same time.
First time since when?
1977.
So Wisconsin then, right?
Yep.
Who was it for the hockey?
It was
Marquette for
basketball and Wisconsin for hockey, I think is what it was. My brother-in-law sent that to me.
That's a cool stat.
Because he was at the UConn championship parade, and he was
Now, did your buddy that was the UConn mascot go to the championship game?
No.
To get more photos without the
the
paw in there?
He was at the 2004 Final Four. That's when we were seniors, and he has no pictures of it because they were all blocked. Like Emeka Okafor, climbing up to cut down the nets is blocked by his paw. Because he had a disposable camera, in those days, or a digital camera. Remember those?
And he's trying to take it with the
Yeah, because in 2004 you didn't have the cell phone capabilities camera-wise for that.
That's pretty funny.
Let's get to our Chateau Kitchens buy it or bowl bleep.
Okay.
Chateau Kitchens at my house right now, finishing the basement. You can come over. We'll drink some old fashions down in the basement right after that gets done. Before and after
I don't
pictures.
need to go to your basement for that.
Facebook and Instagram, chateaukitchens.com. They do outstanding work. Just come over to my house sometime, and you can see all of the great work that they do. I'm just going to take some pictures of my house. Me coming out of the shower, the whole deal. Just post them all.
Nope.
Post them all so you can see the beauty.
Negatory on the shower pic.
You
That
see
is
how
not an
handsome,
invitation to the guys in the back to put one up.
How sexy my house looks now, thanks to our friends at Chateau Kitchens. Here's what we do. I give a statement. Jake and I go back and forth whether we buy it or it's bowl bleep. Statement 1, the 2024 Indiana Pacers will be playing in the playoff field. Buy it or bowl bleep. That means top 6. Not playing round.
Buy it.
Top 6.
Buy it.
They haven't even drafted yet.
Buy it.
Top 6.
They improved, 9 games?
What do you have to be? Let me look at the record of the 6th team. Is it Cleveland? Who's the 6th team in the East?
Well, you got Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, Cleveland. Hold on.
The Knicks are 5th, I think. Or maybe the Knicks are the 6th team. Brooklyn.
Okay.
45 and 37. So you need a 10-win improvement from this year. They
Buy
just got a 10-win improvement. They got a 12-win improvement.
Buy it.
Yeah?
2 years. 2 years from now, 50 wins.
Yeah, I'm targeting 25. So I'm going to say bull bleep. I think the Pacers make the play-in round next year. I don't think that they're in the top 6.
Okay.
But they're heading there. They're going like this.
They are.
Which is good. Statement 2, Georgia's Jalen Carter will be the biggest bust in this draft. Bite or bull bleep. I feel like I haven't spent a lot of time on the non-quarterbacks.
Jalen Carter, for those that are not familiar, defensive player for Georgia that has really fallen in the draft process, not only because he had some off-field issues at the combine, but then also apparently his workout did not go well on pro days. He was sucking wind. But I'm going to say no, Derek, just because the law of averages, I'll take the field on who would be a bigger bust. But there is certainly potential. But then again, Warren Sapp fell in the draft and look, became a Hall of Famer.
I think one of the quarterbacks is going to bust bigger than Jalen Carter because somebody's going to really invest in him. But he's the classic example of somebody that has all the measurables, but does he want to be great?
Right.
And I'm not trying to sound like old white guy with sweatpants up to my nipples that you make fun of all the time because I think some of that is overdone. But from everything that I've read about Jalen Carter, it's just about, does he want to work?
Right.
And if he doesn't, then
he's gifted. There's no doubt
you
he's
don't
gifted.
know. I mean, maybe you've got – hasn't that kind of been the bugaboo with Jadeveon Clowney over the years where you've just wondered if he's all in all the time and a special talent? Doesn't look like I have a third statement for Bite or Bull Bleep. You want to come up with something on the fly?
I can.
Your shirt is very Eastery, even though we just passed Easter. It's like that pastel-y pink.
Yeah, it's
nice. Yeah.
Right?
It's nice. I like it.
So it's time for me to come up with a Bite or Bull Schultz?
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be sports-related.
Okay. Bite or Bull Schultz. This is an easy go-to that I do all the time. The Indianapolis 500 will be won by a first-time winner.
Oh, God. I'm going to get in – I think this year is going to be the first year that I get into this mode. Willpower was too good not to eventually win that race. I know Michael Andretti never won that race. So I got to the point where I just started picking Willpower to win every year.
Right.
And he was still, it took like 7 years for that to be right. There's just no way that Joseph Newgarden is not going to win this race at some point.
It's
right?
hard to argue that.
And I'm not saying that this is going to be the year.
And once he does, Derek, then that mantra then shifts to Pato O'Ward.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that this, 2023 is definitely going to be the year for Joseph Newgarden, but I just would be flabbergasted if he never won this race. So to me, taking the first-timers actually, it used to always be you take the vets, the former winners.
Right.
I think now you take the first-timers just because of the talent that's in the
Pato
field.
and Newgarden, too, and McLaughlin.
Yeah.
One of those three is going to win it.
I mean, even Colton Herta, or you can add a couple of others that are in there.
You're right. Rosenquist.
Pillow,
that's a really good one. Yeah.
I mean, I think you got to go first timer. But then again, I was convinced that Dixon was going to win a second one for a couple of years, and it looks like that might not even be in the cards.
I think there's people that are convinced Dixon should have won like 6.
Yeah. Well, he did. What was the year that he got up in the air and Nick Yeoman had the great call? Because he had the best car that year, I felt like.
19?
That sounds
18
right.
18 or 19?
Yeah. That sounds right. Because I thought he had – I mean, there have been a couple of years he had the best car.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of luck.
He was on rails for sure.
Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Your grandpa's Old Fashioned. These are very good. Lou Malnati's, our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group. Both Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water Brewing, 42nd and Boulevard. American Dairy Association. Get some delicious milk. Also, Chateau Kitchens. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Yeah, I love heating and air conditioning.
Love-HVAC.com.
Do we not have any love swag up here? No. We need to get a love shirt. Get on Chris and give him. Let's bring like Chris's bike and have that be the prop.
I've still got my 1985 Red Sox Allisonville Little League shirt. It says Love Heating and
Bring it in.
Right there.
Bring it on. It'll be like a crop top on you, but bring it on and wear it on the show. For Rakestraw, for Vince, for Jordan, for JD, for everybody else, I'm Derek. He's Jake. Bye. We'll see you next week on Query and Schultz.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do. From Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.